So welcome back to the podcast. My name is Joseph Clough and this is episode 518. And today we're talking about kind of weird mindsets that can keep us stuck. Now, what do I mean by that? As you know from the previous episodes, if you've listened to them, that a lot of our beliefs and our thoughts can actually create an illusion. They can create what we think is true on a subjective level, but on a logical level, may be totally untrue. That it's on an objective level, they're not true. You see, the mind is so interesting and confusing how it can distort reality. It can cause it to make up stories in our mind that we buy into. It could be like a confirmation bias, a belief bias that we live by and then seek out similar things to it just to confirm our belief system. Have you ever been in that situation when you've been like, you have a belief in something and you're in an argument with someone maybe, and you're like, no, this is absolutely true. I'm telling you, I know that this is the truth. And then you realize that you are wrong. But even still, there's that part of you which tries to keep that truth, tries to go, it is right, even though you know it's wrong. Because it's not nice to be wrong, and it's nice to be able to have these belief systems about the world, even if they're negative. Here's the thing, Ram. Even if these beliefs that we have are very negative, and I'm not saying that you consciously try to keep those belief systems, but at an unconscious level, there's a part of you which wants to buy into the same old thing. Why? Because it's what we've always experienced. You see, when I speak to people, like my one-to-one clients and so on, they've had a belief for so long that thinking anything other than that belief is scary. And let me put it to a test. If you have a big goal and dream, you have a big mission, you have this big ambition and vision to achieve great things. Maybe it's a certain goal. I can almost guarantee you the thought of completing that goal, being free of an issue, getting your goal, there'll be a slight bit of anxiety to it. So therefore, we get a little bit anxious. Because when you get your goal, number one, when you think about your goal, you think, well, is it actually possible? Is it something that I can achieve? And on top of that, it's so weird to think if we've achieved our goal and we're free of our issue, it almost feels strange because we've had it for such a long time. It's almost like it's a part of us. For that issue is woven into the fabric of our identity. So therefore, to be without it can be a little bit worrying, a little bit anxious, a little bit doubtful. And if you've ever had that thought, let me know on the live chat. And just so you know, if you're getting this on the podcast replay or within the app, we are broadcasting live on YouTube at youtube.com/Joseph Clough or on Facebook.com/Joseph fan page, Joseph's fan page. So feel free to let me know. But sometimes thinking about letting go of the issue, and I'm not saying consciously, but unconsciously, it's scary. There's doubt there. Because who am I to not have my issue? What happens when I don't have it? Will that mean I'm going to have to give up my excuses? Let me break that down a little bit. You see, for every issue we have, there's going to be a part of us unconsciously which feels like it's important to have that issue. You might be going, oh, Joseph, that's ridiculous. Why is there a part of me wanting to keep this issue? Well, let's break it down. If you have something like, say, let's choose a kind of an issue, phobia. Phobia, horrible, an exaggerated, irrational response to something. However, despite how irrational it is, a part of our system feels that that thing that we're fearful of is going to hurt us. And it could be the cutest little puppy, but unconsciously, biologically, we have that association, that trained response to be fearful. Whereas because we went through a significant emotional event or we were told things, it doesn't really matter about how it came about, but our unconscious mind has that irrational response. So for every issue that we have, there's going to be a positive intention, an intention as to why we feel like we should keep the issue. Anxiety, horrible, but it tries to prepare us for all the worst possible scenarios. It's almost like a superhero even, responding in every moment of what could happen. What about this? What about that? You got to be careful of this. It's always trying to jump in to try to protect you. So the intention is good, the behavior is bad. It's something that we do not like. So our unconscious mind becomes accustomed to keeping the issue. For at a deeper level, it feels like it's trying to protect us. At the time of the creation of the belief that we have about ourselves or the world, or the decision that we've made about ourselves or the world or the behavior that we run, our unconscious mind feels like at the time of that creation, it was the best possible decision it could ever have or to make under that stress. So therefore, the thought of being without this issue creates this belief bias, whereas we try to prove ourselves right. It gives us justification. Oh, I've got that bad relationship. See, I told you so. All men or all women are X, Y, Z. The economy. I told you so about the economy. It always happens when I'm getting back on top of things. Or I got sacked today. Or I didn't get that promotion. That always happens. I know that to be true. We try to look for reasons or justifications to make sense of the world around us. So when something is not going our way, if we're not yielding the results that we want, unconsciously it feels good to come up with a reason as to why that happened, to let us off the hook. It wasn't my fault, it was this person's fault. And I'm not saying it's not that person's fault, or it wasn't the economy and things like that. But we've got to be responsible to our ability to respond in the right way. But know that your unconscious mind is always trying to figure things out, to find reasons as to why things are happening how they are happening. Like considering, weighing everything all up, that it almost feels like, okay, this makes sense. I've made sense as to why I'm not how I am, or it makes sense why I haven't achieved my goal or my outcome. It's trying to figure out or justify why we are like we are. And it feels better, lets us off the hook, if we blame other people, other environments, situations, so that, it just makes us feel better about ourselves. But when we have those reasons, those justifications, those validations that we may have about ourselves, we're also missing the point. We're missing an opportunity. We're missing an opportunity to grow and shine because of the situation. There's always an opportunity. So we need to break outside the habit that it feels right now to have reasons as to why we are like we are, makes us feel good in the short term. Because now I've got a reason why I didn't get what I wanted, or why I am like I am. Okay, so let's be at peace with that. A part of us will try to unconsciously or logically, you could say as well, to figure out those reasons, because it makes us feel better and lets us off the hook. Even if other people are involved, I still believe that we must assume responsibility for who we are, and absolutely for where we're going. That's vital to me. Like, if I can assume responsibility, then it doesn't matter what environment I'm going into, I have an ability to respond to it. I'm not a product of life. I choose life to be a product of what I choose to create. So we want to make sure that although our mind may try to justify the situation that will keep us stuck, that weird mindset, but it makes sense because it's safety, right? Making us kind of off the hook or make us feel better is very much a case of protection, self-preservation, whether it be from our ego, whether it be from other people. But it's not going to cause us to shine. It's a short-term pleasure, although it's not very pleasurable, but it's more pleasurable than looking in the mirror, for example. So that short-term ease of that pain does not give us what we want in the long term. We have to assume responsibility for our present situation. This is not letting people off the hook, because people can do real horrible things, and I get that. But it actually furthers my point that we should then take a stand and assume responsibility to prove others who put us down that we are actually more than what they thought. That we're not going to be a product of their thinking or their doing. I'm going to be a product of how I'm going to show up today. I'm going to assume responsibility and go, do you know what? I'm worth more than this. That person who did that horrible thing to me, I'm better than that. I'm more of value than that. I'm not willing to stay the same. I'm not willing to buy into those reasons or those excuses. I'm more than that. Even if you don't believe in that belief, the decision to do something about it is going to change the direction of your thinking. You're no longer being an effect of that person or the effect of that situation, but you're going to assume responsibility by being the cause of your emotions, the cause of your success. In other words, the cause, you being the creator of how you show up today. Who you're going to be, what you're going to get, how you're going to respond, what you're going to receive in great gratitude because you are open to something different. You are open to an alternative situation or an alternative reality, an alternative reaction. Where in the past I would have gone, oh my goodness, this happened to me and these are the reasons why it always happens to me. No, today I'm going to go, even though this happened, I'm going to grow because of it. I'm going to make a point that I can be the product of what I desire. I'm going to be the product of who I want to become. I'm going to go and design it in my mind. I'm going to build myself so strong that no one or nothing will ever break me down. You see, I've made big changes in my life. You probably know, full of dread, anxiety for most of my life. But what people don't understand is that I built this within me. It wasn't given to me. Yes, I've had certain opportunities in many different ways. But even with opportunities, you got to take action upon them. You got to create opportunities. So we must assume that responsibility and build it within the minds within our mind, because when you build it in here, nothing can break it out there. If we try to find the answer externally all the time, then we are investing in other people or structures which aren't ours. But if I build it in my mind, when I become the fortress of self-belief, the fortress of self-preservation, the fortress of passion, of purpose, of mission, of ambition, then I'm now creating who I want to be. When I do that, I'm looking for success. I'm looking for the opportunity. So let's not allow our mind to trick us into thinking that the way I am right now is always going to remain the same. The way that I am right now is always going to cause the exact same results. And it's going to justify my experience. Because ultimately, you do not want your unconscious mind to lead the show in justifying all the reasons as to why you're here, because you are so much more than that. You have such a great, profound opportunity to experience the freedom that you desire. And it's one of those things where you've just got to make that decision. Yes, it can take time. I don't mind time. Sometimes all we have is time. And we got to use that time. We got to invest within that time. If we're putting more effort into other things and not ourselves, you're not investing in yourself. And I'm not talking about money here. I'm talking about time. If we turn off one thing so that we can actually spend time within ourselves and build this fortress of self-belief, that to me is going to be so much better, so much more profound than going to the cinema, going out for that dinner, watching that Netflix episode. And not to say any of that stuff's bad. I mean, I watch Netflix, I go to the cinema. And also another thing, right? Here's a nice little thing for you to know. If you are going to go out to dinner occasionally, go out by yourself. Yesterday, I do this every so often. I go out to dinner by myself, and all I have, it's just down here, so I'm not going to bend down and get it. But I have a little notepad. That's all I have. I don't need earphones. I didn't look at my phone once. Actually, I did because I got a text message, which I needed to respond. But other than that, I didn't browse or anything. And I spent that 45 minutes to an hour. And I did everything really slowly to just invest in myself. So if you are going to do these things, make sure you prioritize your time over wasting the time in things which aren't yielding the response that you want. And you know the difference. If I'm going to invest my time in Netflix, how much of a response or yielding that will affect me personally in my growth, what will that be? Well, you could say, okay, maybe 20% because it's going to make me feel happier and things like that. Okay, now long-term growth. Well, now you're thinking, I'm not really. It's a short-term experience that makes me feel better. And we can change that to Netflix, not to point at them, but like YouTube, it could be social media, Facebook, Twitter. And of course, I'm broadcasting on these things. So part of it is like, well, some things may be useful to the investment of me. Maybe this is helpful to you. But you have to prioritize, what am I doing to be able to make the change within myself? Is it better to turn off this, to give up that, to be able to build myself on the inside, to get to where I want to be, and to shine because of it? And that's down to us. We've got to really recognize that as a belief system. Because if we don't, then we've got to be prepared for the results of that as well. Like, we can't just go into the situation thinking that I'm not in control of my investment of my time. I know we have priorities, but there's always some level of time. 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I spend 10, 15 minutes every morning, that little short period of time, to set up my day, to do what I have to do in my mind before I enter into the day. Sometimes people think about getting out of bed and they suddenly just go on this big roundabout kind of fairground ride really, really quickly. And they're not in sync with it. They're not up to that level. They're not up to that space or pace even. But once you build yourself in your mind first, then you can enter the world from a strong place. We are so taken in by all this information, the news, social media, societal stuff, the phones, mobile devices, all these kind of things. And we engage in them before we engage within ourselves, to center ourselves. I don't mind if you do like breathing techniques, meditation, hypnosis, writing things down, whatever it is. Engage within yourself first. Build it within the mind first before you enter other situations. But going back to the topic at hand, our brain is going to look and for the reasons to justify our experience, to justify our results, because it makes it feel easy. Because it's not long term, it's painful, right? But it lets us off the hook. It gives us, oh, it wasn't my fault. It was Bob's down the street. Oh, it was the economy. Oh, it was that bit of traffic. I mean, we come up with reasons all the time. And those reasons become justifications as to why we're stuck. And it's okay if that's how we want to live our life. But I really think the long-term success that we desire, we have to begin to look within ourselves and realize that those self-justifications are going to keep us stuck. They might feel good temporarily. It's like eating a bit of chocolate. It might give you that endorphin kind of boost, but it's not going to really aid our body in the most healthiest way. Unless we're going real raw cacao or something like that. But you know, like the typical chocolate. So we have to take out that short-term gain and go into the long-term by understanding that it's on us to be able to make that change, to go on the inside, to be able to assume responsibility, to get exactly what we want out of our life. Otherwise, those weird mindsets will be self-fulfilling and they'll be on a loop and it'll keep us stuck over and over again. And I don't like being stuck. I want to see things as an opportunity to change. I want us to look for the alternative answer. I want us to seek out a new paradigm that goes and raises our consciousness ultimately, to be able to get higher, to get in contact with our unconscious mind that bit deeper, so we have that rapport. For when we're in rapport with ourselves, no one else is going to break that. When you're true to yourself, no situation is going to break you down. You're going to be so strong within that you're going to just go through every event, even if it's not that nice, you're going to see it as a learning and an opportunity to grow. And that, I feel, is the message. But there's always an opportunity to grow, to let go of an issue. So I hope you enjoyed this. Now, of course, if you are listening to this on Facebook or YouTube or on the podcast and the replay, feel free to go ahead to download the app, because when you do, you get all the podcasts in there. You can create custom hypnosis sessions. You can actually listen to hundreds in there, and it's freehypnosis.app. You download it. The Android one is hopefully coming out next week. We'll see though. I've actually got to buy an Android phone just to test it. So that's going to be, I'm like an Apple person. And once you, with Apple, it's very hard to, they get you. But yeah, if you can please go ahead and rate and review the app. It makes a world of difference. It does to me as well. It means that people are, it's nice to get feedback. It really does help me know that you are wanting more from me. If not, I won't need to do these, and we'll just let the app pay for itself in terms of everything. But if you can leave a review, it means I know that you're actually wanting more, and I really appreciate if you do that. But the deeper level is when people write a review, it inspires others to download and just dive into the free section. So that is hypnosis, freehypnosis.app. So freehypnosis.app. And I'd really appreciate you doing that. And remember that In every experience, we can learn from it. I mean, Christina said, I bombed a job in an interview this week because I went in unaware. At least I now know. Yeah, and now the other thing what I'd like you to do, and this for everyone in a situation, as quickly as you go through something which is painful or to our disliking, to our displeasing, immediately as soon as possible, you ask, what can I learn from this that will allow me to be safer in the future? So what that does, it stops the limiting decision. And not to say that it will like make it disappear fully, or like let us just like get through it fully and completely, but it's going to cause our unconscious mind to learn instead. So what can I learn from this which will cause me to be safer in the future? Because learnings keep us safe, and those emotions, those old associations, like thinking about interviews and, oh my goodness, this happened last time, so therefore it might happen again. No. What can I learn from this? I'm going to learn to be more prepared. I'm going to go there in my mind and rehearse it at an unconscious level. Or you could listen to the Interview Nerves hypnosis track, which is on that app as well. So there's so much to be learned here. And I really appreciate all your feedback coming through as well. Thank you, Abney. That is really, I really appreciate you in every way. I'm going to just read this out. This is awesome to hear. You're talking, helping live. I have so many downloads of your voice. I can't even explain how happy I am that I'm able to be here right now. Well, I'm really thankful and happy for you to be here as well. So I really appreciate you, and I appreciate everyone else's feedback, because we're in it together. We've got to make choices. We've got to decide upon something new. We've got to make sure that there's ultimately a solution out there. I almost feel like there's a part of us which feels like we want to belong, right? So we don't want to keep our issue, but we also want to know that, look, I'm not alone in this. Joseph had anxiety or blushing, or he didn't believe he was good enough once. I feel that too, and now I'm not as alone. Or when we're communicating like this on the comments, or you see all these downloads and things like that, it just means that, look, I'm not going to be here forever. This is going to pass. It is temporary. Every behavior, every belief, every thought, every emotion is always going to be temporary. Write that down. If you're ever in an experience on feeling an emotion, it shall pass. It will. Sometimes it lasts longer than we'd like, and that's why we take action. But learning and knowing it will pass, that thought will go. The emotion will disperse, especially once we apply ourselves. That, to me, is an opportunity to grow. And sometimes I think that's what life is. I've learned more from my horrible experiences than I ever had from my happiest experiences. Not to say I want to be looking for horrible experiences, but I can at least appreciate that my biggest learnings of growth, which caused me to expand myself, to push myself, has been under some form of tension. So sometimes we can utilize it as an opportunity to transform in every way. Thank you, Joe, as well, saying thank you for what you do. Your hypnosis helped me tremendously. Well, thank you. I really appreciate you. Marcia says, I listen to you every morning to start my day right. Perfect. We might have some exciting new things on the app as well. I'm putting a ton of investment into it. And I'm trying to come up with good ideas as well, because I have things I want to be able to bring into it. Also, Michelle says, you've helped me in many ways. Years of blood pressure meds, no solution. Normal with your hypnosis. Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. Thank you ever so much. And there is a lower blood pressure hypnosis track. I feel like we've almost got a track for everything, but I've also got another 100 I'm about to release. So there'll be new nighttime transformations, long ones in there. There'll be a ton more titles, even things like imposter syndrome title, other addiction titles, lots of, well over 50, maybe 60, I'm not sure. That'll be going in there as well. Perfect. So thank you, Steph. Anita says, I've missed this, Joe. It feels like I've come home. Well, it's great to have you here. I mean, I like to do these lives a bit more consistently. I need to come up with a schedule. I'm doing it for a couple of weeks now. Carlos says, I'm doing the Old Limits program now. It is so amazing. Oh, thank you, Carlos. I'm pleased that you are getting value for that. It's something that I don't actually really sell online. It is a program. Hoarding, I think, how about saying people with autism spectrum disorder? That's something I haven't done, but there's something I can think. I've got to research a lot of these things. I'm not going to just like come up with things. So I'd have to really go deep into it, which I don't mind doing. Masters, could you do 8-hour sleep hypnosis tapes? Well, we've got coming out on the app, hopefully soon, some good 4 to 6 hour ones. Hoarding, I can't even remember if I recorded that track yet, but if not, if I haven't, it will be on the list. Jeff says, thanks for your help, Joseph. You have helped me go through some hard times in my life. Well, thank you. It's been a super appreciative to be there with you in some way. Although I was there, but I'm not there. But it's so good to get that feedback. Abney says, your voice has guided me to sleep over countless nights and countless issues. Bless you. Oh, well, thank you ever so much. I appreciate you. And thank you, Tanya, as well. Look, just so you know, look, I always believe in you, and I honestly try to speak to you. I always try to zoom in and figure out exactly wanting you to know that I believe in you. I want you to understand that. And I say that because I've been there, and I want you to know that there is always success out there. Once again, if you are enjoying the app, please go ahead and leave it a review. Or if you're not on the app, on the podcast, because it just means if people kind of look at it, look at a review and see a ton on there, then it'll give them confirmation that there is a success out there. So with that, my wonderful friends, I'm going to close this one out. I think we've been going on for, I have no idea, to be honest, how long we've been going for. For about 40 minutes or so now, so that's awesome. But I will be back here again very, very soon. And I'm not sure when. Like I said, I want to come up with a schedule, so I'm always here at the right time, so you can expect me. And that means I can show up and be there for you in the best way that I can. So with that, my wonderful friends, I look forward to speaking to you very, very soon. Many thanks and goodbye.